RT's in Chicago catching up with war veteran and Occupy Wall Street activist Scott Olsen. After serving 2 tours of duty in Iraq, Scott became an icon for the Occupy Wall Street movement when he was severely injured in the head into unconsciousness at Occupy Oakland protests, where in October 2011 protesters clashed with police.
What happened? What happened?
You got hit.
Shot! What's your name? What's your name?
What's your name? Wake up!
What's your name?
What's your name?
Scott, thank you so much for joining us today. You're one of dozens of war veterans who have returned their medals to NATO generals here in Chicago, throwing the medals into the direction where NATO leaders were meeting. What is the reason for this? Is it, do you feel betrayed?
I really do, and betrayal is the biggest factor, I think. You know, we all join for our own reasons. We all join the military for our own reasons. But, you know, one thing is that's common is we join something to do good work, to help other people, to be part of something bigger than ourselves, and to defend our country. And when we went over to Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever our service was, we saw that that wasn't true, and we were just destroying people's lives. We are not doing good work in Iraq or Afghanistan, and that's why I don't want these medals, because they represent something that is not important to me. It's meaningless to me, and I'm not proud of being part of a system that has killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians. That's not something to be proud of, and that's not something to get an award for.
Your injuries at Occupy Oakland clashes with police got people talking about the fact that veterans really sometimes do get injured at home after being injured abroad. Do you think that's the case?
Well, I don't think there are more veterans getting hurt here, but you know, there are a lot of veterans getting hurt by the system that is, you know, in the sense that they come back to a broken system, a system that they feel disconnected from. And that's why we're having 18 veterans a day commit suicide. That's why we have so many homeless veterans. It's that system that's hurting veterans.
Why do you think it is that when billions of dollars are being spent on U.S. warfare, as we speak, we are seeing a staggering number of homeless and jobless veterans here in the United States?
Because people are making money off these wars. They're, you know, getting money from our government to buy their toys, to buy their equipment, and to fund these wars. And that's how they make their riches. And there's always money for war, but we never have money for schools or nice things here.
Do you think the authorities who recruit soldiers such as yourself to do the bidding for them abroad are essentially lying to get people to join the military about the reasons behind the wars the U.S. is involved in?
Well, for military recruiters, they at least mislead people. They may not lie to you, but they will mislead you, not give you the whole story. And that's why it's so important, if you want to join the military, to talk to as many veterans as you can find and get every point of view as you can.
What do you think the majority of those veterans would say?
I think most veterans would recommend against somebody joining. It's a life-changing thing, and you know, I wouldn't take that back because it's made me who I am, but I would not recommend anyone else to make that mistake.
It's going to be a year in September since Occupy Wall Street first kick-started. What stages is the movement in now? What should we be expecting next?
Well, it's not as big and loud as it should be. It could always be bigger and louder, right? But we're branching off into other strategies that may not be quite as visible, creating worker-owned, worker-managed businesses that are really going to take the money away from money borrowing into the corporate system. And I think that's going to be a real success for the future of Occupy.
Some critics of the Occupy Wall Street movement are trying to undermine the substance of what it's all about, really, by saying that there's still almost a year on no unified, strong, single message. What do you say to those people?
Well, you know, anytime there's a large number of people demanding change and the system feels threatened, they're going to attack us in any way, in every way. And we do have a message. I think everybody who comes here has their own message, but it's very common. We're getting the short end of the stick. We're working, and we're not getting what we really deserve. We're working our asses off, and we work more than most other countries in the world, and our salaries have not gone up in years, but our corporations are making billions every day, and our retirement pensions are being cut, our schools are being cut, and that's not acceptable when people are making billions of dollars.
One of the things the Occupy Wall Street movement is demanding is accountability for bankers and CEOs on Wall Street. Do you think that's sort of naive in a sense, expecting this several years after the economic crisis? Why still demand this?
I don't really know if we're going to get the real change that we're looking for just by asking. It has to be forced change, and our government may, invoke some small change, but the banks will always find a way to screw us over. They'll always find a way to maximize their profits, and they maximize their profits without actually doing any work. So by taking that money, they're taking it from somebody else.
Now, presidential elections in the U.S. are just around the corner, and 4 years after Barack Obama was elected, critics are now saying that basically there's no difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, that they're both two sides of the same coin. Are you still expecting any kind of change to take place after the elections, regardless of which one of the parties wins?
Not particularly. I think that most likely we're either going to vote for a Democrat or Republican, and I think both of those are wrong choices. They're both working for the same system. They both take money from the same people, from the same banks, and you can see in their policies that they're rewarding their donors. And voting for that continuance of policy is not going to change anything at all.
So considering both the Democrats and Republicans essentially bring the same thing to the table, what is the alternative? What could be the other option, do you think, for the United States?
That's a good question. I mean, you could vote for a third party that may not win. I mean, you may count voting for a third party as a wasted vote, but I think voting for a Democrat is a wasted vote. I think voting for a Republican is a wasted vote. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you will vote for either of those.
When the Occupy Wall Street movement first started, the mainstream media was trying very hard to undermine the protesters. They were saying that it's a bunch of dirty hippies, and later trying to say they have no message. There was constant criticism and trying to not take the movement seriously. Almost a year on since it started, do you think, how do you assess the way the mainstream media has been covering what the movement is all about?
I mean, I guess they've covered it more than I was expecting them to. I wasn't expecting much out of them. And that's why we come out here and we build our own media that we need. We build websites that anyone can post on. We live stream these events for everybody to know and to find out what they're missing out on. But it's a shame that, your everyday American is not going to see those things. Your American who, turns on the 6 o'clock news, they don't hear about these things, just like they don't hear about the wars that we're still in. Most of Americans, probably don't really know that we're really at war. They aren't affected by these things.